That's a resident of East Palestine who apparently doesn't want to go through the testing the railroad has volunteered to pay for. Can hardly blame her there. Let's ask Ross about this. Joining me now, my friend Ross Kennedy, founder of Fortis Analysis, knows more than I could ever know in a million years about supply chains and this kind of stuff. Okay, Ross, I don't like to dabble in online conspiracies. I really don't. I don't know. What I see is there's a new train going off the rails every 15 minutes now, apparently, in the country. We're blasting everything we can out of the sky. Food processing plants are burning up. I'm sure at least some of this is just coincidence. What do you believe?
Well, I think it's a day ending in Y in 2023 at this point.
Yeah.
You know, a big part of the issue that we're seeing is, I think in a lot of ways, this is really kind of the fat tail, if you will, of the pandemic. A lot of decisions that were made, mostly poor decision making by political leaders worldwide. You know, malfeasance here and there, of course. And the United States is really engaged in a form of low intensity economic warfare with China, you know, as well as with Russia and Iran and others. So the range of potential outcomes or causes for these things are very broad. You know, derailments is one of those things that train derailments happen way more frequently, I think, than people realize. But a mushroom cloud of hazardous, you know, chemical gas burning into the atmosphere is a pretty splashy visual, and so I think a lot of people have fixated on that. Regrettably, it's what we're seeing here is lack of maintenance, overstretched labor. It's one of the big reasons that the railroad labor negotiations continue to drag on and without a real genuine resolution to the problem. And on top of all of that, you know, for 15 years, Surface Transportation Board and others have really tried to enforce stronger system standards on the railroads, in particular new braking systems that, in this case, probably would have avoided that this train in East Palestine was not equipped with. And so when we take all these things into account, you're just stacking up all the ways in which a bad thing could happen. And you know, sure enough, a bad thing, a tragic thing really did happen here. It's unfortunate, but it is where we are.
Can you nerd out on the details for a minute about what are these railroads lacking? You brought up brakes and you brought up overstretched labor. What's going on? Are we working these guys 24 hours a day and they're just forgetting to change the brake pads on the things? I don't know how trains work. What's going on?
Fundamentally, it's two things are happening here. You have an aging workforce on the rail side. The death of blue collar expertise in this country is very, very real and really, other than micro and a few other core, you know, places, not really appreciated and spoken about very much. It's just not a field people go into where they feel like they can make a good living. So we have an aging workforce, people are retiring out. That's one issue. The second issue is that modern safety mechanisms on trains are incredibly expensive if you want to do it right. So that would be, you know, electronic pneumatic brakes, rather than airline brakes that have very long lag between the time when the engineer pulls the brake and when a 100-car unit train can stop. The new systems dramatically shorten that and make it safer. You've also got very digital railway control systems now, what they call positive train control. And those are things that keep the trains from colliding with one another, staying on the track they're supposed to be on, automatically alerting the train and applying brakes without human intervention. And not only are those systems good, but we have underinvested in them significantly. The railroads are doing their best. Precision railroading as a business scheme continues to be an issue where they're building longer, heavier, fewer trains to try to optimize cost. And then you talk about the hacking element, which can't be discounted when you're talking about digital things connected to the internet. It sure would be a very splashy, high-profile target if somebody wanted to make a point to derail an entire train of hazardous chemicals that they chose to.
Support the First TV today and get instant access to exclusive specials like Who is Ron DeSantis, the history of FBI scandals, and America's worst presidents. Visit thefirsttv.com/support or download the First TV app to become a supporter and start watching today.